Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is John with Tommy's Top Picks here to bring you your weekly flesh and blood market update. Let's go! Yeah, it's kind of a weird week. It is pre-Pro Tour, so I imagine that has some impact on the market. A lot of people are saving money to travel to Baltimore and pay for flights and hotels and cards they're going to buy there and whatever else, right? So I do feel that that's probably impacting and quieting the market. I think also the heat we've seen recently has basically cooled off. The past 2 weeks have been pretty warm, pretty warm. If you go back 3 weeks, even warmer, right? So I think we're finally seeing the chill out for a second phase, which is probably a healthy thing for the overall market. But let's jump in. Let's see what we have here, and we'll talk about it along the way. So for unlimited boxes, only thing of note is Monarch down 11.86% to $52 from 59. We saw 52 way back in the beginning of March, not all that long ago, so it's not a crazy area to be in. I guess we could say that we are now fully on the other side of the Dusk Till Dawn hype bubble situation. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure when that set's coming out. Does anyone know? Leave it in the comments if you do. I know there's some info leaked on it, but do we have an idea of the actual date? If this is the quiet phase before the hype happens, then this may be the beginning of a period where accumulation of the famous Monarch shadow cards, angel cards, whatever things that you find interesting and fun would be worthwhile. $52 boxes, very reasonable price. This is unlimited, so you won't get the cold foils, but, you know, I don't know. Depends on what you're looking for, right? Moving on, unlimited cases of Crew are down 8.67% to 474 from 519. It's not really that low. This is just a slight relaxation from the last couple weeks of hype. Just a month ago, we were at 417, so you're still over $50 higher on that. And the previous low, we'll look at the chart, but the previous lows were well below this, right? 440 for, this was a dip, right? And this is kind of the steady state line is 440, 450. So we're above the previous steady state line. It's probably a good thing. We'll look at the chart, and if I see a specific pattern, I will point it out. Moving on to first edition, WTR is up 80%. Take this with a giant grain of salt because, again, I use the list pricing so we can track trending and purchasing capability. So this is not the actual price. $8,999 is the price you can get it for TCG player. Reality, you could probably get it for $4,200 or less, maybe even $3,700. I've seen those sorts of deals going on the Facebooks, Discords, etc. They are disappearing. We have definitely seen an upward tick, and we can look at that if you want to. But the last sold was at $41.50. I put it here so that I remember to talk about it. And that was $331. So we're now like a month since that sale. So I would say that this price is artificial. This got pulled or bought somewhere else, different channel, right? And so don't take this as the real price, but we stick with the same pattern so that we are following the same rules all the way. And I would expect that the upward pressure is still there, just not $9,000 a box, right? Because that's crazy. Moving on, Crew is down 10%, 10.17% to be precise. Down to 795 from 885. That's a pretty decent drop. I don't know. What do you think about that? Is that terrifying? I don't think it's terrifying. We heated up so fast, right? Look at this. 892 from 500. This is still well above that previous range. And we'll look at the chart, but I think we're fine. I think this is actually probably good. Let's see where it is next week, and then we'll comment again, because if it continues to decline, then this was crazy. We talked about how crazy this was last week, and it's just artificial. If it settles, even if it's at like 600, right? That's still up from here, and that means it's in a strong next plateau position. If it's above 600, we're looking at a pretty solid gain on Crew sticking in the market. Monarch first edition box down 8.5% to 138 from 152. Yeah, it's just kind of back where it was. There's nothing really special about that. We've seen that actually in a month, and yeah, this is just that new channel. which is good. That's defining that new channel as this 138 level to 160 level, which of course is above where it was before at this 100 kind of level. So, I mean, I think it's probably good. I think it will probably hold. We'll see, though. If it leaks down, I will definitely pick up some boxes, because if it goes back to these 100 and below markers, which is possible, yeah, that would be great, because Monarch is going to be something interesting. The real question, and this is the part that I'm a little worried about, what does this set look like? Is it really going to lean into shadow and light in a similar fashion? Or are we going to see a difference of like Drakai, how Drakai works for Dromai versus Phi, right? It's very different, not almost incompatible levels of different. I'm curious what they do. I personally suspect that they will lean away from the old way, right? And into something new. So instead of your Phantasm, is it Phantasm? No, Spectra. Is it? No, I think it's Phantasm. Yeah, Phantasm Angels, as much, at least at that power level and such. I'm guessing you're going to get ally angels like Soraya. And I'm guessing that the shadow mechanic may shift a little bit. We're already seeing a little bit of a preview of this in the Rune Blade. The Rune Blade itself, you're seeing more cards that came out recently have, if you pitch a this and that as a attack and non-attack, as opposed to playing those two things. I think they're tweaking and toning the different classes based on the overpowered level of certain things, realizing that the combination of synergies was just too high. And so what I suspect, and I don't know this, but I suspect that Soraya is a preview of that for new Prism. And that the pitch, the non-attack and attack, is a preview of the new chain. Now, again, I have no idea. It just fits with what we're already seeing, and you know how LSS loves to preview direction well in advance. And it would also make some of the cards that have been out that are really not all that interesting yet more interesting if they print support for these kinds of mechanics that fit in with the theme and the general properties. It could build a whole new way to do rune chant kind of development, which I think could be a better future for Runeblade, instead of just, Ninja Go Burr, except with Arcane on top. Maybe it will be more of a strategic pitch stacking kind of play. Build your base, get some rune chants, get your second round on, your second cycle on, and have a combo set up that just blows it away. So you're pitching specific cards, and again, it's setting you up to pitch attack actions and non-attack actions. So if you're doing that for 3 turns in a row, you have them in a perfect pairing for that end combo. So you see how that could build a really cool like setup deck style. I personally hope that's what they're doing. On the Angel side, I think Dromai's probably a really solid illusionist. Her mechanics, her way of functioning, her board state management is all really cool, and I think that just seems like a better way to go than what we saw with Prism before, where it was a little bit mixed on that and some big swings that had downsides, except not really, into certain heroes, and it was limiting of the field. It should be something that's interactive for everyone to a degree. Yeah, good matchups, bad matchups, that will happen, but you see what I'm saying? That's kind of where I'm going with it, and I hope that's what we see with this new Dusk Till Dawn. That's what I'm looking for, and I hope to see it, and I think they've hinted at it. I mean, I think they've dropped cards that hint at it. Anyways, moving on. Enough with Monarch. I love it. I'm super excited for that set. But I know I started at Tails, but I kind of fell in love with Monarch to start. Our first game, Tommy and my first game, I played Prism, and I just loved the concept. And my very first games, I think it was my very first games, I played with my dad, which was weird because he's not really a card player, but we were on a trip together, and I brought some of the Blitz decks, and it was Levia versus Bolton, and it was a blast because we were both trying to figure out what the heck we're doing here, and it's a little complex if you've never played before and you're playing those as your starters, the whole soul concept, and there's definitely some question marks in our heads, but we got there, and it was a great time, and it has a warm place in my heart. How about that? So I'm looking forward to revisiting that kind of theme. So we'll see. We'll see what it is. It's very exciting for me, though. Anyways, sorry, took a long time on that one. Moving on, Dynasty down 7.83% to 318. This is the first edition cases from 345. This feels like a steal, and I did see that listed just recently. Now, we have seen this before, but these dumps below map are like prolific in Dynasty. I think it's below. Yeah, it is below map still. And it's a little nerve wracking. I'll be honest. Like, why are these prices hitting here so hard and so often? I hope it's not a pattern. Oh, I just realized you couldn't see what I was pointing at. I hope it's not a pattern in the long run. I do think that this product is well worth map pricing, but it's just kind of like the old, whereas like Uprising was the old last set. I'm thinking we're seeing Dynasty as the old this set, and until we get back to Dusk Till Dawn, it might be a thing. Now, I do worry, and I'm curious how supplemental sets will go. Good thing they're doing Dusk Till Dawn as a talent-focused set, I believe they said. So it's going to be Shadow and Light. I don't think this is the set that's all arcane, though they did say that's coming. So it's going to be Shadow and Light. It's going to be a supplemental set, so we'll have cards for every class theoretically. But how do you have Shadow cards and Light cards for every class? This part I don't understand. So depending on how they do it, which I'm super excited to see, if it's really focused in on a certain spin, if you will, such as the Shadow and Light type thing, then it could keep these Dynasty cards at value, so going up. If it is a mixed bag that gives power to a lot of heroes, then Dynasty will probably go down because which isn't unreasonable after map and all that stuff, but just because the power in the next set outstrips it. I think they did a good job with that in Dynasty, though. There are some classes that did not get that much power, and I think they're figuring out how to balance the two. I do wonder if they can continue this supplemental every other set thing, or if that's going to have a negative impact either on power creep or overall, but we'll see how that goes. I'm really excited to see how that lands because there's a lot of different ways it could go, and it will define kind of the next chapter of how Flesh and Blood is developed, which I'm very excited to see. Anyways, moving on, this is technically up 8.33%, but we had such a weird variety of up 80% and down 10% or 11, I guess was the high, that it's kind of in the middle. So up 8.33% is Outsiders at 325 from 300. This is still under map, which is unfortunate. I don't really know why that's happening. I'm not sure I fully agree with it. But it is a thing that is happening. So maybe you can pick up a discounted box here or there. All right, let's jump into the charts, see if I can remember all the things we said we were going to talk about. Start with Unlimited. WTR, not much to report. Slight ARB of $4. Moving on, ARC has the premium intact. Again, these ones were not really high impact, high variation, so not much to report there. Crew on the ARB opportunities less than $1. Nothing to actually remark on there. Just looking at the pattern here real quick. It's curling over. Monarch. Okay, so we see this big drop off, but yeah, you see how it's holding above this high. The previous high is like here, and so far it's holding above it. If we recover from here, then we're probably going to see a healthy situation there. We'll see, though. We'll have to watch it over a few weeks. And then Tales of Aria being weird as always. Why are you so weird, Tales? This is what happens when you have too many boxes. Yeah, $3 ARB, nothing special there. Eventually this will dry up, and that will be a different thing. Let's jump into the first edition. Started at crew by accident. Let's go to WTR. Not much to talk about there. It's pretending to catch up, but remember these prices are lies, so I wouldn't even take that into consideration. ARC, we're seeing a similar thing. Oh, I did forget to point out one thing. Sorry. These are off the market again. Both ARC and WTR cases are gone. They're not listed anymore, and they don't have a sales history on it, so you can't tell if those ones sold at these prices or if they just got yanked down. Guessing they got yanked. Anyways, ARC Yeah, not much to talk about there. Premiums intact, fake pricing because we don't have real chart data. No ARB opportunity on crew. I will say this is a perfectly healthy decline. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, like I said, if this goes to here, let me show you the chart. If this goes to the 600 range, say in here, it's still so good. It's still so good. It's going up as it should. It should ladder up like this. Monarch, similar thing. As long as it stays up around this range, we're good. This is just that channel that we were talking about. So I expect it to go up next week, but it can trace down further before it goes back up. This might be widening. We won't know until the pattern develops. Point being, it's still fine. It's in a healthy position. Tails of Aria first. Actually looking pretty good. I want to see a couple more weeks of data, but it's holding up well above where it used to be. So I think if this is our new zone, this 80 zone, and we're 4 or 5 weeks in and it's just going up here, then we're in a really good space for Tales of Aria first edition. It means it's probably starting to run out, which, I mean, not like it's no longer on the market, but like it's not everywhere. It's not in mass amounts, which would be very good news for everyone, I think, because that's the biggest set with the most out there in the world. And so watching how this develops will indicate what the kind of what we call it the worst case scenario is. And if it's already going up, the worst case scenario is pretty damn good. So anyways, Everfest, they basically grew into the supply very quickly, which would be an interesting time, but anyways, Everfest curling over, still above its previous, or actually tied with its previous. So nothing really special there. Nothing really going on the premium as you'd expect. I'm actually happy. Let me just go back to that real quick. I'm happy this didn't crater over the print run numbers and the lack of release information with the collector's week last week. We know that Tails is crazy big. We know that the other sets have kind of a pattern. We don't know what that pattern is on those second 3 sets as far as the ratio between first and next edition, but the fact that this specifically called out that it had not been released yet into the market had the possibility of causing this to crater. Now, reality is most people knew that, were aware of it, and it was no surprise. Therefore, the market had already priced it in, which I think is true. And the data supports that. So uprising, all right, getting back to a healthy point. It is kind of funny how dramatic this is, but it's really only a few bucks. Yeah, this is like, what, $15? That line is $15. So you got to keep the scale in mind and look at the numbers. So yeah, not that big a deal. Basically a channel movement. When we get further on and this actually goes up, this will be like a tiny tight line. But for now, it looks really dramatic because there's not a whole lot of price movement. It's pretty stable. Still low. I don't like it being this low, honestly. But I think it's uprising on the next level of map, or is it in map still? Either way, this is pretty low, but not the end of the world. It's called "This Draft is No Longer the Current Draft" pricing. That's what that is. In fact, that's probably exactly what this was, and people were like, no, this is still a good set, it'll be worth something, and they bought it back up to where it used to be. That's what that looks like to me. If you're looking for your ARB opportunity, you had your best shot at 73 versus 79, $6. Like I said, scale is wonky when it's so tight, which is, it's good that it's a very tight band. It means it's a very stable situation. So Dynasty, definitely less tight. Definitely less tight. This is like $27, so that's a little chaotic. So we had a nice cruise down, a little nutty here. Not sure if this is just noise or what it is. We have seen crazy spikes like this before, so we'll keep an eye on this over time and see where it lands. The case situation versus the box situation. Yeah, I wonder if there was a point where they were having a hard time getting it to people, like if one of the distributors had an issue and that caused some of this, or if it was just I screwed up and didn't capture shipping costs. Oh, by the way, I spent extra time this week to actually make sure for every single price it included the shipping cost. I hate doing it. It's so annoying. I really wish I had an API, I'll tell you that. But I did it just to make sure our data was accurate. So this is reflective of that data. I know it seems like it's crazy, but it's not. It's real. So I'm trying to do that. I got called out for missing something, I don't know, maybe a month ago, and I'm trying to be diligent about it. So I'd let everyone know. On the ARB opportunity, $5 a box. So this is not as dramatic a change as it looks on this one, but it is still something to keep in mind if you are doing that sort of thing. I honestly don't think that's worthwhile on a Dynasty case, but it's something that's an option for people. Outsiders, yeah, not much to report here. I like that it's going up. That's pretty good. This is like a check mark, but it's way too early for the check mark, so I'm guessing this will go back down. Maybe actually, you know, with map, it'll probably, well, hopefully it'll just float in this 350 range. It'll get there and come back, and that'll be that. Definitely curious why these dips happen right after release. It seems like the least likely time for a store to be dumping product on the market. So who is doing that, and what are they actually making? Like, what's the point? I'm not sure there's a good reason for that. If you have a theory, let me know in the comments. But that's really all I got this week. Yeah, I hope you guys are out there cracking packs, playing games, ready for Pro Tour. That's mostly what I've been focused on is Pro Tour. Bringing some CC decks so I can do some side games with people. Ready for drafting all week. Weekend I will be doing that for the most part. Maybe some Shapeshifter if I can. So yeah, I hope you see you guys out there having fun and doing it. Baltimore's a lovely city, and I can't wait to get out there and have some fun. So until next time, have a good one.